How are you feeling today? There are mornings. The moment you open your eyes, you already know. Today, I cannot get up. Not because you're lazy, not because you're weak, not because you've lost motivation, but because there is something very deep, very old, very silent, holding you back. As if a hand were placed on your chest, lightly, but just enough to keep you from moving. If you have ever felt that, give yourself just a few seconds to truly listen. Because what you often interpret as a bad day, I'm useless, or I've failed again, does not actually mean that at all. We live in a world that constantly demands people to be strong, to keep running, and to prove that I'm fine. And the moment you slow down even slightly, guilt rushes in. So when the body suddenly refuses to cooperate, you immediately think, what's wrong with me? Am I broken? Am I becoming useless? But Jung saw that moment in a very different way. He believed. When your mind has not yet understood, your soul already knows. When you cannot name your exhaustion, your soul has already sent the signal. And one of the clearest signals is the simple fact that you cannot force yourself to get up, not even to do the most familiar things. That does not mean you are collapsing. It means some part inside you is trying to pull you back to yourself, pulling you away from a rhythm of life that no longer fits, pulling you away from roles you no longer wish to play, pulling you off a path you're walking only because it's familiar, not because you still belong to it. And if you allow yourself to stay for just a little longer, you will feel something very strange. That heaviness did not come to make you fall. It came to hold you still, to stop you from running further toward things that are no longer yours. Right in the moment that seems like your weakest, a very small door opens. And behind that door, there is a message your soul has been wanting to send you for a very long time. When you lie there, staring at the ceiling and feeling like you no longer have the strength to do anything, most of us respond in one very familiar way. We blame ourselves. I'm so useless. I'm not as strong as other people. I've let myself slip. But there is something almost no one is taught. Your body sometimes stops, not because it's broken. It stops because it is protecting you. Jung called this the soul's response, when you have drifted too far from your own truth. Like a child tugging at their mother's hand when she is about to walk into danger gently, but firmly enough to make her stop. Your body pulls you back in the same way. It knows before you realize it, that every day you are pushing yourself deeper into things that drain you. It senses the fractures inside you, even when on the outside you still smile, still talk, and still work like someone who is fine. And then one day, the body can no longer keep walking toward what harms you. It stops, it becomes heavy, it becomes silent. Not because you're weak, but because you have lived against yourself for too long. Have you noticed? When your mind is exhausted, it still tries to drag you forward. But when your body stops, you are forced to listen. And perhaps for the first time in a long while, your body is telling you the truth. I can't live like this anymore. I can't keep trying to be strong for one more day. I need you to stop before I truly collapse. That moment when you lie motionless, paradoxically, is not the point of breakdown. It is the point where self-harm stops. You are not falling. You are being held so you don't keep chasing things that make you lose yourself. Held so you have the chance to look into the emptiness you've been avoiding. And in that very holding, a question begins to appear, soft but unmistakably real. If I am being held back, what am I about to see? That question is the doorway to the next part of the journey. The most confusing thing is sometimes everything in your life looks fine. No major crisis. no tragedy. Work is the same. Relationships are the same. Life is running on the exact track everyone thinks you should follow. But even when everything on the outside is intact, inside you feel something very strange. A tightness, as if you've been living in clothes too small without realizing when it happened. You do the familiar things but feel empty. You smile and talk as usual, but none of it touches you on the inside. You try to be okay, but each day something quietly pulls you away from the life you're living. Not because life has gotten worse, but because you no longer belong to that version of yourself. That is something almost no one tells you. There are moments when life doesn't fall apart, but you are cracking from the inside. And it is that inner fracture that keeps you from wanting to get up. Not laziness, not incompetence. Your body senses what your mind is still trying to ignore, that you're living a life that has expired, but you keep pushing yourself forward as if everything still fits. So a pulling force begins to appear, very light, but very real. It pulls you back when you try to jump into your old routines. It makes you tired when facing things that used to feel familiar. It makes you feel as if you are drifting on a current that no longer takes you anywhere. It's not life knocking you down. It is the soul saying to you, it's time to stop and see whether you're still living in alignment with yourself. And this is the threshold moment of every transformation journey, when you realize that heaviness is not a sign of ending, but the very first message that a new chapter is forming in the dark. You cannot see it yet, but it is coming. And the body is holding you still just so you can feel this more clearly. There is a very special moment in every person's journey, when you no longer feel much, no longer want to do much, and simply want to be still. Others may look at you and think you're stagnating, falling behind, or losing yourself. But through the lens of depth psychology, you'll see a completely different truth. You are entering the winter of your soul. Just like a forest, when the cold arrives, trees shedding leaves, the ground barren, the sky gray. It looks as if life has disappeared. But that is only the surface. Beneath that cold soil, a quiet preparation is taking place. Roots tightening, storing energy, seeds hardening to withstand the frost, tiny life currents still flowing. You just cannot see them. Your soul operates in the same rhythm. When you no longer want to run, no longer want to try, no longer want to pretend to be fine, that is not collapse. It is a contraction for restructuring, a kind of psychological hibernation. Jung called this state psychic winter, the inner winter, a deeply important phase that many fear because they think they are losing control. But in truth, this is when you begin to reclaim the deepest control you have. On the outside, you are motionless, but inside, old layers are dissolving bit by bit. Outdated beliefs begin to shake. New desires, faint though they are, start touching the edges of your mind. You cannot name them. You cannot explain them. You can only feel one thing. I cannot keep living the old way anymore. And that is the very first sign of rebirth. No spring arrives without winter. No awakening comes without a long quiet that precedes it. The silence you're going through is the soft soil where new life is preparing to emerge. You cannot see it, but it is already growing, and your body knows it before you do. When you are in the winter of the soul, you will notice something very strange. Your exhaustion never feels the same. It changes color, changes flavor, changes the way it touches you, as if each type of exhaustion carries a story you have not yet heard. Jung believed that behind every form of fatigue is a message. You are not drained for no reason. You are not heavy for no reason. Your soul is trying to say something you have stayed silent about for too long. There are days when you are tired in a very specific way. You still do everything, still meet your responsibilities, still live correctly, according to what others expect. But inside you feel strangely hollow. That is when you have lived too far from your true values. The soul withdraws energy from what is no longer you. It silently says, I don't resonate with this life. There are other days when the exhaustion smells like memory. It isn't the present that drains you. It is the pain you never allowed yourself to fully cry out, the losses you brushed aside too quickly, the wounds you thought you had gotten used to. But emotions never disappear. They simply wait for you to be weak enough to come back and reclaim their truth. That exhaustion is like a reminder. Say goodbye to what you have never truly said goodbye to. Then there is this type of fatigue, which sensitive people will understand immediately. You walk into a room and instantly sense something is wrong. A single casual comment is enough to pull your heart downward. You feel too much. You carry too much. And eventually the body has to say, enough. I am overloaded. This exhaustion is not because you are weak, but because you've been holding the whole world while you yourself are empty. There is a deeper kind of fatigue, the exhaustion of standing between your old self and your new self. You are no longer who you used to be, but you also do not yet know who you are becoming. Transformation always consumes enormous energy. Like a caterpillar inside its cocoon, motionless on the outside, but inside, every cell is being rebuilt from scratch. You think you are slowing down, but in truth, you are changing form. And then, there is a type of exhaustion very few people recognize. The fatigue that comes when your creative energy has been trapped for too long. Inside every person is a current that wants to express itself, to create something that belongs to them. But if you live where there is no space for your own dreams, that energy doesn't vanish. It turns inward, colliding with your inner walls and becoming the heaviness that drags you down each day. It's not that your fire has died. It's that the fire has been sealed off. No matter what shape your exhaustion takes, they are all doing the same thing, pulling you back, lightly, but just enough for you to listen. The soul uses exhaustion as its final way of saying, it's time to look inside. It's time to be honest with yourself. It's time to come home. And in this very moment, when you first touch the true meaning of your exhaustion, is when the transformation journey begins to turn its page. The interesting thing is, the deeper you go into the heaviness, the more you realize something very important. It is not your mind that is controlling your life. It is your body. The mind can say, I'm fine. I can handle this. I must keep going. But the body does not lie. When it stops, when it becomes heavy, when it refuses to take even one more step, that is when you know every act of pretending has reached its final limit. The body is the final gatekeeper of the soul. It speaks up when you have ignored too many silent warnings. It stops you when you are about to go too far away from your own truth. And it pulls you back when you have strayed from the path that belongs to you. Have you noticed? The mind will often try to convince you to keep going, but the body does just one very simple thing. It says, no, no getting up, no ability to focus, no pushing any further, no sense that it can take another step, not because you are incapable, but because deep inside, the body is doing what the mind no longer has the courage to do, forcing you to stop. And when it stops, the things you have hidden for so long begin to rise up, gently, but increasingly clearly, the things you tried to ignore, the emotions you once pushed down, the limits you have crossed far too many times, the words you wanted to say but couldn't, the dreams you left somewhere in the past. All of these return one by one in the silence of a morning when you cannot get out of bed. And this can frighten you because you think you are losing control, but in reality, you are beginning to regain your true control. The mind is skilled at making excuses, but the body is honest, and honest to the point of being ruthless at times. It only stops when you need to stop. It only becomes tired when you are living against your truth. It only drags you down when you have let yourself fall too far from where you belong. And in that stopping, a question begins to form. Very soft, but very important. If the body is telling me to stop, then what inside me needs to be seen? When this question appears, you have entered a deeper layer of the journey. When your body comes to a complete stop, when every movement slows down, you may think you are empty, useless, doing nothing at all. But in truth, this is when a very quiet process begins. There is something about stillness that people rarely talk about. On the outside, it is unmoving, but inside, everything is working harder than you imagine. Jung called this state incubation, a form of inner hibernation. Just like a seed lying beneath the soil, no one sees it, no one hears it, no one knows how it is changing, but it is preparing for an entirely new life. You are the same. Those moments when you lie still, eyes open, wanting to do nothing, are exactly when the unconscious begins to reorganize everything you have accumulated through months of exhaustion. The things you once ignored are being placed back where they belong. The emotions you suppressed are finding healthier exits. The outdated beliefs are beginning to detach from you. The scattered fragments, dreams, memories, desires, disappointments are being arranged into a picture you never dared to face. You think you are standing still, but the truth is, you are being restructured. The outer silence is only a shell. Inside, a great movement is taking place. If you pay attention, you will see very small signs. The mind begins to bring up faint images, like half-awake dreams. Questions no one asked suddenly appear. Memories you thought were forgotten return. Truths you avoided gently rise to the surface. This is how the unconscious works. It is not loud. It does not push. It moves in the dark, slow, steady, and very deep. You do not need to do anything. You do not need to try to understand. You do not need to force yourself to change immediately. All you need is to allow yourself to stay still, because in that stillness, the soul is reviewing the entire architecture within you. It is removing each part of the old version. It is sweeping away the emotional aftershocks you carried for too long. It is laying the first bricks for the version you are about to become. Many people fear stillness because they think it is the stopping of life, but to those who understand the rhythm of the soul, stillness is where everything begins. It is the secret laboratory, where you, even while lying motionless, are entering one of the most powerful processes of your life. When you have stayed in stillness long enough, you will begin to sense something very strange. It's not you thinking, but something inside you is whispering, not in words, not in logic, but in images, fleeting emotions, memories that suddenly return without warning, as if the soul is sending you scattered pieces, waiting for you to recognize where they belong. Jung called this moment the meeting between the conscious and the unconscious. Not a clear conversation as we usually imagine, but a flow vague yet very real. You may be lying still, eyes on the ceiling, and suddenly feel as if a painting inside you is unfolding on its own. A familiar face, an old room, a feeling you thought you had forgotten, a sadness with no apparent origin, a very small, very distant voice that touches so deeply you have to swallow. That is the language of the soul. It does not speak in sentences or words. It speaks in memories, in emotions, in images you cannot explain immediately. in vibrations only you can understand. This is the moment many people begin to feel afraid because they think, why am I seeing these things? Is something wrong with me? Why are old memories returning? But in reality, they return because you are finally still enough to hear them. In these moments, you will notice 3 very gentle questions forming in your mind, unclear, unintentional, but repeating like a patient whisper. What am I so afraid of that I have had to protect myself this much? In this life, what no longer belongs to me, and which version of myself is asking to be born? When these questions appear, you do not need to answer them right away. In fact, you do not need to try to find answers at all, because these are not questions of the mind. They are questions of the soul, and the soul has its own way of revealing the truth. Sometimes the answer comes from a memory you never thought about again. Sometimes from the heaviness in your chest when you think of someone. Sometimes from the image of a door, closed or open. You're not sure, but it makes your heart tremble slightly. This is how the unconscious speaks. Look here. Listen to this. Remember this. Feel what you truly want. You do not need to do anything else. No analyzing, no forcing, no twisting yourself to find solutions. Just let the silent dialogue take place. Because in these hazy moments, what you assumed was meaningless exhaustion begins turning into clues. Clues about what you have buried. Clues about what you long for. Clues about the person you are slowly becoming. And that is when stillness is no longer emptiness, but a doorway. When the silent dialogue between you and the soul begins to open, you will realize something very paradoxical. The days you thought you were doing nothing at all are actually the days your inner world is moving the most. We live in a world that worships busyness. Here, your worth is measured by how much you do, how far you run, and how much you can endure. And because of that, when you stop, you feel guilty. You fear being left behind. You fear becoming weaker. You fear others surpassing you. But the soul does not operate by those rules. The soul does not measure you by achievements. The soul measures you by truth. And the truth is, there are moments when you need to stand still so you do not keep walking toward what harms you. So when you lie still in silence, thinking you are being passive, the unconscious is doing work that your rational mind could never do on its own. It dismantles the older parts of you. It unhooks each belief you clung to for years without realizing it had decayed. It washes the emotional residues you carried too long. It resets the foundations inside you slowly but firmly. You may not see it with your eyes, but you feel it through each breath. Heavy light, as if the body is recalibrating its own rhythm. There are moments when you want to get up, run back into the old cycle, and return to the normal you. But the body does not allow it, not to punish you, but to protect you from repeating the old life. Stillness is the cocoon, and the cocoon, from the outside, appears like immobility. But inside, everything is being restructured in miraculous ways. You are not doing nothing. You are doing the most important work of your life, allowing yourself to change without forcing yourself to be strong. And in that state, you begin to realize something very important. If you keep running, pushing, holding everything together, you will never be still enough to see that you are walking off your own truth. Stopping is not failure. Stopping is what lets you return to the right direction. And when you no longer fight the stillness, when you allow the body to hold you still, when you allow the soul to work in the dark, that is when you are transforming. No one sees it. You do not see it either. But the transformation is happening beneath the surface, in the silence, in the fragile breath of the days when all you want is to lie still. And then that silence you thought was meaningless will become the firm ground from which new life begins to rise. Then there will be a morning like this. No warning, no noise, not a dramatic breakthrough moment like in movies, but a very small change, very gentle, just enough for you to notice. You open your eyes, and instead of the familiar heaviness, a thin warmth appears in your chest, a feeling like it seems I can breathe a bit easier today. Not motivation, not excitement, not overflowing with energy, just one breath slightly deeper than usual. But that moment is the first sign of return, like a faint dawn light slipping in through the edge of the door. You don't need to get up quickly. You don't need to force yourself to be strong. You don't need to push yourself to get back to life immediately. Just lie there and feel what your body is saying, because this is when you understand a truth no one has ever told you. You have not grown weaker. You are simply returning to your real rhythm. You have not lost your energy. You have only stopped letting it flow into things that no longer belong to you. You have not fallen off your path. You have simply stepped off a cycle that no longer nourishes you. And when the body begins giving you back a bit of vitality, when your mind becomes clearer, even just slightly, when your heart feels less heavy than before, that is the sign that the inner winter is slowly closing. You are entering your own kind of resurrection, not returning to how you were, because the old is exactly what drained you, but returning in a new way, lighter, slower, deeper, and much more real. You will find yourself no longer caring about things that once kept you awake at night. You will no longer want to strain yourself to please others. You will clearly see what drains you and what makes you alive. That is the gift of stillness. It only gives energy back when you are ready to use it in the right direction, and you will know you're ready when this feeling appears. A very soft feeling, like a small inner call. All right, we can get up slowly now. No rushing, no pressure, no forcing, just a gentle shift from within. And from that moment on, you are no longer the person who walked into your inner winter. You emerge with a new rhythm, a new truth, and a strength that is quiet but undeniably real. The strength of someone who has returned from their own darkness. A new chapter is opening. Not because you ran, but because you were still enough to finally see the path meant for you. And that's the content of this episode. If you feel a sense of resonance with these reflections, don't forget to follow the channel and stay tuned for the upcoming episodes. See you soon. Bye.